Hello. We are today on Black Ops 3 Zombies. One of the best Call of Duty games of all time, and probably my favorite Zombies game of all time. We're on Origins, also one of the greatest Zombies maps of all time. Sadly not on BO2 though. But BO3 will work. And as you can see, gotta get our points ready so we can get this generator started. And you can see these zombies. They dead. They gone. Each individual zombie will not be the same. Oh! But yeah, what am I talking about? I'm talking about what nobody likes to talk about today. And that's death. Death, like this zombie, can just come like that. Take you away. But I feel like death is almost planned. Or it's almost like it was supposed to happen, you know? And before we get into that, I want to preface this. There hasn't been much death in my life. I could say I've been quite lucky. And, you know, I've had some family members pass, but none that I would say that have impacted me greatly. You know, it'd be not direct family members like aunts or a grandfather you never knew. But I want to talk about the one that really did affect me. And that was seeing my grandfather die. Or, well, finding him dead. So, let's say I think I was around, I'd say under 12 years old, probably near 10, 9. I went to go with my family. I don't really remember the specific circumstances, but I went with my family to go, I think go see my dad at his work, and I remember, I don't know what happened specifically, but I remember that we went to go see my grandfather. And he lived with my aunt and uncle at the time at an apartment complex. So I remember going up those stairs and, you know, us knocking on the door, waiting for him to let us in, and he never answered it. So, but my family knew they were home. I think we were with my aunt at the time, and so they were freaking out. But, you know, we still didn't really know. And they had asked, well, not asked, they had tried to figure out a way to get into the house because, well, the apartment, because it was locked. And I guess my aunt didn't have a key at that time. So we opened the window. And I remember this so vividly. I remember going through the window, and I remember seeing this table that I think I remember I used to play chess on it with them. I used to play chess. At least that's the only memory I have at that table. I'd see this table, and then I unlocked the door. As soon as I unlocked that door, I went to go immediately to go check on my grandpa because they were like, "Oh, we need to go check on him." And I remember running down that hallway, opening the door. I think it was on my right, and just seeing him, you know. And it wasn't like anything crazy. What I did see was him laid down on his bed, and his face was almost purple bluish. And that's really all that I saw. My family ran in, they pushed me out the door, and they told me to go sit in the living room. So that's what I did. I guess at the moment, I didn't really, well, I kind of knew. I guess I knew he was dead. Yeah, I did. But I guess I didn't really process it at the time. You know, I was just like, oh, what's wrong with Grandpa? Is Grandpa okay? And I guess I was kind of close with him. You know, go over. He, you know, we used to like. I guess we used to like talk. I guess or like he'd play games sometimes. I don't really have too much memories with him, but I remember liking him at least. And oh, fuck. But I remember the fire department came and screw this. And they sat me down and I think they took me outside. And they were just really trying to distract us, you know. Try me and my sisters. I think if I was around 9 at the time, or I was probably a little younger than my older sister was probably late teenager. My other sister probably about to be teenager, preteen. But yeah, that was really, I guess that was the only time I had ever seen a dead body or seen somebody like that. And it was weird. I won't lie. It was very weird. Just so why am I telling you this story? Well, because I don't really know. I guess I wanted to bring up the fact of death. No one really likes talking about it, and for good reason. Because it's very uncomfortable, especially when it's somebody so close. And ooh. And I had to go through that at a young age. Oh my god. Hold on, y'all. I gotta lock in. Oh. But yeah, I almost just died there. It's crazy how one little mistake could basically put you at death's doorstep. Oh. I swear to y'all, I am not that bad at this game. But anyways,
Field report.
I
Arrival at site identified in our intel.
yeah,
No sign of the target.
death comes quickly
Other agents believe
and unexpectedly, just like you saw in that last run. You may think you know what you're doing. You may think everything's fine, but it could just be lights off at any moment. And what I had learned from my grandpa's passing was that I guess nobody was safe in a way. You know, we all as kids almost, you know, had this like thought that, you know, everybody, you know, all your family's gonna be here forever. You guys gonna have spend great times together, and no, won't be much to. God, there won't be much to worry about. But that's not true, is it? And you need to learn to appreciate the people around you, and the people you care about so much, in a day-to-day basis. I guess we all think about, you know, our family, and it's like, it's great, you know, they maybe everything obviously isn't great, but you know, you still care about them, you still love them.
I'm gonna have to find
And that thought of them just
together.
going away forever was weird. So I guess the transition
Target area
is,
appears affected by an unknown contaminant.
you know, I was a sick kid, like I mentioned growing up. I was a pretty sick kid, but something I don't really bring up is that my mom had cancer when I was growing up, probably around like 12 for me. We just came back from one of our Florida trips, and I remember the entire time on our way back, my mom was complaining about pain she had in her side, and my dad obviously was just like, "You're fine, you know, let's just keep going." And you know, yeah, we didn't think too much of it. Obviously, looking back, that wasn't the best choice, but I remember we had got home, and I think the pain had just become too much at some point, and so we had to take my mom to the hospital. And we found out that her appendix was basically done. It was on the verge of collapsing, and I remember hearing that if we had brought her any later, that it would have burst, and who knows all the damage that would have came out of it. But the reason why her appendix was like that in the first place was because she had cancer. She had I don't really remember specifically too much, but she had a cancer, and I think it was the appendix cancer. And that that really shocked me at the moment, you know. Growing up, cancer is just. I remember I was just like it's just the death virus, you know, in my mind. And in my mind, it was almost like my mom was marked for death. But thank God, I'm not really much of a religious person, but you know, thank God, thank the doctors, thank anything that she managed to get past it stronger, and it removed the cancer in time before it spread. That was great. I remember I was just so relieved, and I had gained this like newfound like praise and like value from my mother. Because at that moment, I realized that life is also cruel, and that all brought us a little bit closer. During that time, I developed I don't know. I don't really know what would be classified as, but I developed like a disorder, I guess, or something called Bell's palsy. I might put up a picture of it, but basically, what happened was due to all the stress, you know, of what was going on at that time, my face had like just like completely just paralyzed, almost like a stroke. You've seen like stroke victims, their faces are like don't move, and it looks like very odd. I guess that was like me, but it lasted for days, and I don't know. Like I remember just being confused. At first, I didn't realize. I think it was because I was in the hospital. I think with for my mom, and I think she noticed or somebody noticed that it was just like anytime I smiled, I just looked a bit off. And yeah, I remember having to go to the doctor. I forgot what they really did, but I think they administered some medications. Told me to take it easy for a while. And it was hard during that time to take it easy because, you know, coming back from a family member, like going through a lot. And not even a couple years ago, I think my grandpa passing. But it was hard. But I don't know, back then life was just so I don't know, life was just so different back then, you know, like anything could have just happened. But
Alright, I think I got it now.
there was a lot going on that I just wasn't aware of, I guess. You know? Or at least there was a lot that I didn't really remember. You know, the only thing I remember about being in that hospital was just being so sad all the time, you know, feeling bad like a bad son. You know, thinking about it every moment I'd done anything to my mom, you know, any stupid jokes, anytime I didn't listen to her. I'm just thinking back and being like, almost blaming myself. Which is, I guess, kind of dumb, right? But that's how I felt. Just felt like, I don't know, like I had a part to play with it, which I definitely didn't. My mom would made that very clear during the time that this is something that she just had to go through, and it wasn't fair, but to just keep supporting her, and that's what we did. I think during that time, was when my sister had moved out. So, Uh, there was a lot of tension, but even before that, with my sister, because we hadn't heard from her for a while, and I guess it was that plus my mom plus just anything, school, and yeah, that was really hard. But I guess we're past that now. That's how I like to think about it. Is that we're past like most of it. We've gone through those things. Maybe not better, but definitely coming out stronger. Not definitely better. Definitely better, I would say. And yeah, I was very scared. I'm very scared because I couldn't fathom losing my mom. 'Cause she was really all I knew. She was the one that really like raised us and was there for us all the time. And God, I was so happy whenever she finally got discharged and they were like everything would be okay, just to take it slow, watch.
I might be able to find a good use for this.
But yeah, appreciate your parents. Appreciate them because I feel like our parents cause us a lot of stress and a lot of worries and a lot of conflict. But that's because they're the only people who can tell you all that and still have you stronger. It seems like in the moment that they're just harping on you, or they're like just doing too much. But I mean, you gotta realize that they were your age at some point, and they lived maybe not the exact same circumstances, but goddamn pretty similar, I would say. I mean, has life really changed that much in like 100 years? I guess yeah, it has, but the internet has really like exploded things, I would say. But my childhood, like I wasn't really on the internet like all the time. I guess it became like a certain year. After like a certain year, then definitely. But my early childhood, I just remember being home, playing with toys, going outside whenever I could, and it's like having fun. I wasn't, like I said, I was pretty sheltered though, so didn't really get to spend too much time outside. But I appreciate my parents. Mainly because, the amount of work they have to do to get you here. It's crazy, the amount of work they have to put in to even give you like a home. Whether if that's home is even stable or not, like some people just have it worse than you. And sometimes they may sit on that, like, oh, your life is way better compared to so many people. And it can get annoying, yeah, but is there truth to it? No. There's a truth to a lot of things they say. But yeah.
I think you found it.
Ooh, boys. Oh, boys.
Sirens never good news.
I hope I don't die here. That sound, the Panzer sound, is honestly like top 3 worst things I've ever heard in my entire life. I remember the first time I played this map and I heard the Panzer, bro. I've been screaming like a little girl. And I was like, ah! Oh! Hold on. Oh! Come here! Come here! Come here the fuck out! Okay, alright. Let's be smart. Use the boom holder while I can. There you go. Okay. You know what? It was a tactical down. I'll say this. It was a tactical down. And yeah. It was a tactical down. I remember I used to play this map like crazy with my friends, just going back and forth. Doing the Easter egg. Or trying to do the Easter egg. Just consistently failing. But I mean, at least I did it, got it done.
Sounds like we got ourselves a plan. Hang in there, little girl.
But yeah. Oh my god. Yo, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you have to watch this. But I think I'm gonna end it there. You know. Just be more appreciative if you can. Appreciate the people that are alive and more than the people that aren't. The people that aren't leave us a greater message than we knew, and you know maybe they weren't perfect, but they're not here no more. And it'd be nice to be remembered, no? Alright, y'all. This deal heading out. Y'all have a good rest of y'all's day, night, evening, whatever. I'll see y'all next time. Later!